What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about the classic When a Stranger Calls. I got this very cheap Mill Creek Blu-ray with no special features at all in this god-awful poster underneath. This is from Fred Walton, who directed the sequel, and April Fool's Day, which has an amazing poster. And this one tells a story about a babysitter who is being terrorized by this psycho killer. The calls are coming from inside the house. That's the famous line from this movie. And then it flashes forward many years later. This guy who was captured has escaped, and now he's just walking around LA. I think it's LA. Yeah. Either that or New York. I think it's LA. And there's a private detective trying to find him and put him back in jail. And then towards the very end, we're reintroduced to the character in the opening 20 minutes, Carol Kane, her character, and she's got a wife, not a wife, a husband and kids, and then he's trying to terrorize her again. That's the whole story. This movie is from a like urban legend, some kind of or a short story, something from before, about a killer in the attic and a babysitter, and I think right, it's an urban legend. I think they talk about it also in Urban Legend, right? That movie. So this movie should have just been a short. All right, it it works better as a short. It just feels like they took a short and then someone said, "Hey, you should extend this. You should add an extra 60 minutes to this." And that's the downfall of the movie because it's unnecessary. Like the strongest part of this movie is the opening 20 minutes, which is my first positive. The opening 20 minutes of this movie is fantastic. It's suspenseful. It's well acted by Carol Kane. I think she's good, and especially towards the end when she's at the restaurant, like breaking down. She's terrified for worried, sick about her kids. That's a great scene. That's a great performance from her, and the music also, the score in the opening, and that really helps also build the tension, the suspense. It is fantastic, and also, I like Charles Durning. He's in this movie as the private detective. I think he's a good actor too. He's in Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, so I like him. And the last act is very intense too, just like the opening, but it's just kind of repetitive. It's the same thing happening again to the same lady in the same movie. So it's like it's all happening again. It's history repeating itself. So it's like what you get in the opening is the same exact stuff you get at the end, except a happier outcome. Negatives for this movie is the whole middle, the whole second act. It's so uninteresting. So the guy breaks out, and then it's a cat and mouse chase for over 40 minutes in LA, and it's just so not interesting. And he finds him pretty quickly. He's like, oh, I might not find him today, I might not find him this week, but I'll find him. And then hard cut, like the next scene, he's like at the same bar that he was at the day before. Like he found him very quickly. But yeah, the whole middle of the movie just feels like filler. It's just like, we had this great idea for an opening, but now we just need to film this guy walking around LA living as a bum and trying to escape the police. And then, oh, he's found, now he's running. And then he might have a love interest, like he's in love with this girl, but does he want to kill her? Like, they don't really explore this character that much. We don't really know much about this immigrant from London. Like he came over from London and he killed his other kids. Like, did they say anything about? Like, I forget. It's been like a week now since I've seen the movie. I should have recorded this a lot sooner, but I don't think they give us much information about this guy. So it's like I don't really know this guy. He's just a psychopath, and I want him dead because of what he did. And now I have to just sit here and watch him for 40 minutes, just walking around being a creep, and it's not interesting. It's boring. So that's the biggest problem of the movie is that it shouldn't have all this. It should just be the opening. Extend that. Take the opening 20 minutes and prolong that. Let's focus on Carol Kane, her character. Let's focus on her more, flesh her character out, and just have that revelation, that reveal of the calls are coming from inside the house. Have that happen at the very end. And I think maybe is that what the remake did? I haven't seen the remake, but that's what this movie should have been. Just extend that, keep building the tension, the suspense, the phone calls every 5 minutes or so. Just keep building that suspense throughout the movie, and then you get that reveal. And it's like, holy shit! Instead of what they did here, the whole second act is just boring as hell. So, and and I think the ending should have had more of a gut punch. Like, the ending has a gut. The beginning has a gut punch, like that reveal of what the killer did and everything. That's brutal. And then the ending, it's a happy ending. and there's nothing that really happened. It was just the same stuff from the opening, but just not as hardcore. Nothing happened. So yeah, there should have been like someone who died there. Somebody. It's a little too happy of an ending for me. Should have been more dark. So final thoughts. I think this movie has a terrific beginning and really good ending. It has really great suspense in those parts of the movie, but it's just that whole middle section that drags and it's not interesting, and it just makes the movie suffer for it. They should have did something else with this movie. Like I said, extend the opening throughout the runtime, or just make this be a short. It should have just been a short movie, and it would have been one of the best short movies ever. So when it comes to When a Stranger Calls, maybe consider streaming this, borrowing it from a friend, or renting it at Redbox. Alright, time for a quick spoiler discussion. So I thought it was just funny that the cops were telling her to whistle. She kept calling, like, there's a guy harassing me, what do I do? And they're like, just whistle. If you just whistle into the phone, it'll bug him. Like, yeah, that'll teach him a lesson. Just whistle into the phone. Like, really? That's your advice? Okay. And so then, and she just keeps answering the phone. Like, I would just stop after the first one or a second call. I would just stop, unplug it. The people that you're babysitting for, they're gonna come home within the hour. I'm sure they won't mind that the phone was unplugged for a few minutes. So just unplug it. So then, the kids are dead, and then later on we find out that not only did he kill them, but he like mangled them. He killed them with his bare hands, and their bodies were like unrecognizable. We don't see this, we just hear about it, and sometimes that's scarier what you think of in your head than what you see. So then it's 7 years later, and then he escaped somehow very easily, and maybe this is like a commentary on how the system doesn't work, and all the shock therapy they gave him just didn't do anything to rehabilitate him. He's still a psychopath, and they're playing the tape of Duncan, one of their like therapy sessions, and I just thought it was really stupid that the private detective, when he hears the tape, he's like, he hears Duncan's voice on it, and he's like, that's Duncan. It's like, no shit. It's like, they told you that's what they were playing. Like, here's an audio recording of Duncan. This is a session we had. And then he says, that's Duncan. No shit. That's what they just told you. I didn't get that at all. Why did he say that? And so this guy at the bar, he's like playing hero. He makes a bigger scene than Duncan. Like, Duncan's harassing this girl, and he comes by and he's making a way bigger scene. He's breaking shit. He's acting like he owns the damn joint. Like, you're gonna get out of here. It's like the bartender should be making that call, and the bartender of this bar is a pussy. He doesn't do anything. And dude, this lady's reaction to Duncan following her home is unbelievable. Like, she's so calm about it. Like, this is the same creep at the bar harassing you, and then you walk home blocks away, and then guess who's at your door? Like, she lives in an apartment, and he's like in the hallway of her apartment, just like, hey, can I come in? And like, she lets him in. Like, he just, like, she goes inside because the phone's going off, so she just like leaves the front door open with this psycho out there, and then he just like invites himself in, and she's still just like, whatever. She should have been like, get the fuck out of here. But she's like, oh, whatever. Like, what? Her reaction made no sense. She was way too calm about all that. Then Duncan just gets naked. I guess he's remorseful. He's like crying. I didn't get this scene exactly. Like, I think it's him realizing what kind of monster he is, but then he still does what he does towards the end. He's still stalking the one babysitter years later, so I don't know like why he's crying there, but he just gets butt-ass naked. So that's the only nudity we get is from this guy. And so then there's just this convenient crowd of people in like the middle of the night at this apartment. Like, when there's a chase going on, the private detective, he can't get to him because there's this big crowd of people in the hallway. Like, I get he was like knocking on the doors, but there was already this big crowd of people already out there. So that was just convenient. So then we see that Jill is at this restaurant, and she has two kids, mirroring the beginning, the two kids there. So now she's got two kids, and she gets the phone call at the restaurant and starts panicking. And how did he know that they were at that restaurant? Like, her name and picture was in the paper. They show that. But it didn't say that they're going to this restaurant tonight. So I guess I can just say that maybe, we didn't see it, but maybe he was following her around for a bit, and we just didn't get to see that. Like, they should have showed him stalking her for a bit, and then explain how he knew that she was at that restaurant. So yeah, then the private detective comes by and shoots the bastard and kills me. Shot him 6 times. So those are my thoughts on When a Stranger Calls. Let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below. Do you prefer the sequel like me? And is the remake worth checking out? Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.